What's up, Internet? My name is Michael Cook, and this is Blue Giant Media. We're here to help you find, learn, and play the games that you love. Today, we're going to take Legendary, a Marvel deck building game by Devin and published by Upper Deck. We're going to set it up, we're going to play through the game for a couple of rounds so you can get a feel for how long it takes to set it up, how it actually plays, and whether you might like it. So, without further ado, ready, set, play! This is how I've kind of got my all the cards that I have for Legendary set up right now. I've got all of the expansion rule books here because they fit in that box nicely. And then these are all of the heroes, and I've got them set in alphabetical order. So, let's see, look at it here. Yeah, here's Agent Venom going through the Human Torch, all the way back to Wolverine. So, all in alphabetical order there. So that's a lot of different heroes. Then, over here, I have all of the different, these are the henchmen groups. These are all of the villain groups. These are all the masterminds, and then these are all the kind of start cards. And then these are all the schemes. So, what I'm going to be doing is we will set these to the side for the moment. And we're going to grab the board, unfold it, alright, and one of the nice things about this board, although it's not perfect thanks to all the expansions that have come out, they make some extra mats, like neoprene fold-out, roll-out mats that I would like to get at some point. But up here in the corner, they've got the setup explained, which is really nice. So it says each player starts with their own deck consisting of 8 shield agents and 4 shield troopers. So we'll go over here, and I have those set up here with all the start cards. So I'll take the 1, 2, 3, 4 for me, and 1, 2, 3, 4 for you, shield troopers. And then shield agents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Set that there. And we'll continue down the list here. 2. The following cards are placed face up on the board. The shield officers, the bystanders, and the wounds. And if you have any of the expansions that include them, this is also when you would go ahead and set aside or set up the sidekicks. So right now these are all of the bystanders. And again, if you have any of the expansions, you are going to want to shuffle these. The base set just has regular bystanders. There's no special abilities. They're just worth 1 point when they are rescued. But the expansions end up began mixing in a whole bunch of different special powered bystanders that give you different things when they are rescued, or sometimes they could even be not actually a, and this is going to go right here, they could end up not actually being a bystander, they could be fooling you. So set your cards right here for the moment. Then the next, oh sorry, that was just the bystanders. Let's grab all of the wounds. And we'll set them here, and we will set all of the shield officers. Now we're going to have to make room here. Shield officers go here. If you have bystanders, if you have sidekick cards from the expansions, you're going to take them, you will shuffle them, especially again, the first time they were introduced, there was a whole bunch of the same ones, but subsequent expansions added more different ones. So, again, another thing that you do need to shuffle. Take these and make some extra space there. Alright, next we're going to select a mastermind. I would recommend for your first game starting with the Red Skull, because he is the easiest and also the one that's recommended to start with. There's also some really great phone apps out there that do kind of a randomized setup. You can punch in what expansions you have, and then it will tell you a random setup is going to say grab this mastermind, these henchman groups, these villain groups, these heroes, and you can kind of veto them out. It'll also tell you which scheme, and there's some pretty well done ones out there. So I recommend checking those out if you want to play this game more often, and that's something that does make the setup go a little bit quicker, which the setup is a little bit cumbersome for this game. So anyway, you will select one mastermind. I'm just going to go in here randomly and grab one. And I grabbed Loki, which is also one of the ones from the base set. And you are going to take him. You are going to find out which one is the actual mastermind, and then the 4 cards that are mastermind tactics. So these represent, like, the first strike against a mastermind usually isn't the one that actually defeats him. It's going to take a couple times, attacking this mastermind. And that's what each one of these cards does. Some of the masterminds, every time you attack them, you will get some kind of a bonus, as well as the points. Some of them are going to, every time you do this, it might be doing something bad to you, because it costs something to do damage to that really powerful mastermind. But you will still get the points. There's even some where after you damage them, you may have actually whiffed on them. Mysterio, you might have you thought you attacked him, but it turned out it was just a hologram or a clone or whatever. So, very interesting, lots of variability even there again. Then you are going to, sorry, I'm looking at this upside down. You're going to select one scheme. So you can go through, if you've got a whole big old stack of these, you can just go ahead and randomly grab one. You can look at it, you can decide if you want to veto, maybe, oh, I already played that one and I want to experience a little bit more out of here. But you're going to choose a scheme and you're going to set that up here. And that scheme is going to give you some different things that you are going to do in your setup that you're going to need to pay attention to. So it says, select one scheme card and place it face up on the board and add groups based on the table below. So now, let me just take an example look at this. It says, for this scheme, the setup says it's going to have 6 scheme twists. So let me find where I put those. I believe they are somewhere right in here. Those are grievous wounds. There we are. So I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scheme twists, and they will be going into the villain deck. All right. And then it'll say here what happens on the schemes, when the scheme twist comes out. And this is one of the things that's the most different between all of these. Every single one of these is going to tell you what happens when a scheme twist comes out. And they do things that can be pretty dramatically different, to actually making the entire world get devoured, to making HQ get filled up, to making it so everybody escapes, to making it so you get new people come into your world, to a whole bunch of bystanders come out, to all kinds of different things. So, very different. This particular one, the scheme is the Unbreakable Enigma Code. And on twists 1 through 5, you put a card from the hero deck face down next to the scheme as part of the Enigma Code. So you'll take one card out, you'll set it next to the scheme. And then you'll mix those cards face down. On the 6th scheme twist, evil wins. So that's one of the ways that the game ends, and you lose. The way that the games end are depicted by the scheme twist, the scheme itself, and you can also, the game will end when you defeat the mastermind. The game can also end in a stalemate if these decks are emptied. This one also gives special rules. Whenever you fight a villain, you may pay 1 recruitment, 1 money essentially, to look at one of the face down Enigma cards. When you fight the mastermind, first guess the color of each Enigma card and then reveal them. If you guess them right, fight the mastermind as normal. If not, your turn ends and mix up the Enigma cards face down. So that sucks. It means that in order to fight the mastermind, not only do we have to have, in this case, 10 attack power, we also are going to first have to guess the order of the cards that are stacked here. So first we're going to have to spend 1 recruitment cost every turn to kind of look at what ends up getting stacked here so that we can know that code. And then once we know the code, then we can actually attack the mastermind. And that's going to be something that, depending on how cooperative you want to be, you're either going to cooperate and communicate that effectively, or maybe you're going to lie to each other to screw each other over so the person's not going to be able to defeat the mastermind, and you get to defeat the mastermind and score more points so that you can be the glorious victor. So depending on the difficulty of the mastermind, it's going to affect how much you want to cooperate. And again, that's just one of these schemes. They all do such drastically different things and make the game so different and awesome. All right, next we're going to add groups based off of this table that's right here. And we're going to set up for 2 players. So it says for 2 players, we're going to choose 2 villain groups. And usually the mastermind is going to, I guess in all cases, going to tell you 1 villain group that needs to be involved. And then you can, sometimes a scheme will supersede that. It'll tell you to make sure that this person is included, or this group is included, or is not included. So that is not always the case. But Loki says he always leads the enemies of Asgard. So villain groups for 2 players, we need 2 of them, so there will be the enemies of Asgard and then 1 other. So let me find the enemies of Asgard. Let's see, that's Streets of New York. We've got Heroes for Hire, Guardians of Nowhere, Evil Deadpool, Enemies of Asgard. So we will take those villain groups, that 1 villain group, and then we can randomly grab 1 other one. So let's grab Streets of New York, and we'll put them down. Next, we're going to choose 1 henchman group. And again, we can do this randomly if we so choose. So we will grab the Cape Killers. Throw them in there. Into the mix, we're going to grab 2 bystanders at random. Then we will be grabbing 5 heroes. One thing it did not look like it mentioned in here, but I already grabbed them, oops, is there will be 5 master strikes, which when those come up, it is going to say on the mastermind what that does. It's always going to do different things. In Loki's case, it says, on a master strike, each hero reveals a strength hero or gains a wound. A strength hero meaning a hero with the Hulk fist in the top corner of the card. All right, now we will shuffle all these up, and then we will choose 5 heroes. Yeah, 5 heroes. And sometimes there will be more, sometimes there will be less based off of the scheme. But in this particular instance, we are going to have 5. So the long and short of setup is you go through this, and then you're going to, these are the general rules, but they will be modified heavily by the scheme. And when in doubt, go with what the scheme says. That is going to be what determines what's really happening. So now we're going to go in here, and we are going to grab 5 heroes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pick them just for funsies. Since we have Loki, we want some strength heroes. So looks like Agent Venom. He's got a lot of strength. Well, since we're talking strength, let me go through and find Hulk. Since one of my favorite movies in all the moments in all the Marvel movies is when Hulk grabs Loki in Avengers 1 and smashes him back and forth. It's just, that was one of the moments that I think a lot of people very thoroughly enjoyed. EFGH, that was Ghost Rider. We've got Groot. We've got Hulk. All right. So you can kind of pick and choose your favorite heroes. You can kind of go for a thematic thing. Maybe you want all the Avengers. Maybe you can, if you know that a specific mastermind is especially difficult, you might need to choose heroes that work extremely well together just to have a chance. In this particular instance, Loki's not super tough. Not really that tough at all once you've played the game more. So I'm just going to kind of grab them at random from here. We've got Professor X and Steve Rogers, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. from one of the Captain America storylines when he was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then one that a lot of people are definitely going to like, let's go ahead and grab Wolverine. Now we will take these 5 and we will shuffle them up. And this is the part, because the quality of these cards is not that great, I really do not like doing the riffle shuffle. I really don't, especially with this game. But for the sake of time, since this is video and you don't want to watch me overhand shuffle for 10 minutes, and I do want to keep this looking pretty much like a real-time thing so you can see how long it actually takes to set the game up, I'm going to expedite it just a little bit with the caveat for you that I am going to usually do this, and it does make the setup take quite some time. If you've got multiple people, definitely pass these decks around and shuffle them all together as a group, because there's a lot of shuffling that it takes to get this game set up. When I do overhand shuffle, I will then turn the deck over, kind of give a quick look through and make sure, maybe I'll split up some of the cards to make sure that it's not too grouped together. That. And so I would do that, and then once I've kind of gone through and made sure that there's not really too many cards grouped together, then I go through and I'll do a few more overhand shuffles. Because it is statistically possible for cards to be grouped together, I just wanted to first make sure that everything was relatively random, and then allow for that statistical probability or improbability, however you want to look at it, of the cards being put together. Then we will take this, we'll flip over 5. 3, 4, 5, and now we are just about ready. You're going to take your individual deck of cards and you're going to shuffle them up. All right, and now we are set up, ready to go. With the game now set up, ready to go for 2 players, what you're going to be doing on your turn, each player is going to have 6 cards in their hand. Okay, they'll be typically kept hidden for the sake of this walkthrough. I'm going to be playing some cards face up, and for the sake of space, for the moment at least, I'm going to place your cards here. Now, on these cards, in the side, you're going to see 2 different symbols. This star symbolizes basically money. It's recruitment power. How much how persuasive you are in recruiting these different heroes and persuading them to use their abilities or training them, however you want to think about it. And then this symbol right here depicts how much attack power you have. Now I will go first, and on a player's turn, the first thing they're going to do is turn over the top card of the villain deck. So, a lot of these different heroes are going to do different things, and they're going to be set to do different things when they come out. So this particular one, if it says ambush on it, it's going to do something right when it comes out. One of the things that I don't like, that I wish they would do with this game, is come out with just each individual expansion as it comes out needs to have a sheet with all the keywords that have come out previously, so that you have one sheet that you can reference for all these. Because this one says bribe, and if you don't have that particular rule book out, you got to go dig through. And I've got all these different rule books, so I've got to go through and find, okay, which one does that come from? Which one does that come from? I believe it was first introduced in the first expansion, Dark City, and on the back of it, let's see if I am correct. I don't know. I can't remember exactly which one it comes in, but bribe means that you can use a combination of attack power and money to defeat this person. So it's 5, but you can use 5 recruitment, or you could use 3 attack and 2 recruit. So you can use a combination. So basically you can both rough him up and then pay him off enough. You know, the rougher you are with him, the less it costs to pay him off to just go home. So I guess that's the way you can think of it thematically. And you'll see some of them say fight. So it says when you fight him, you KO one of your heroes with a recruitment icon on it. And if you defeat this this villain, in the spot right here, there's a little orange or red circle that has a 2 in it. In this case, that means it's worth 2 victory points went to the player who defeats them. So I've got 2 attack power and 4 money. So I could recruit, or I can fight. Just so we can get a feel for what it looks like to fight, I will go ahead and fight. So I'm going to expend, I got 1, 2, and then 2 fight and 3 recruit power. It takes 5 to fight with bribe, and then it says fight, KO one of your heroes with a recruit icon on it. Now, to fight, when it has a fight ability, you're going to use that fight ability before you tally or total up your stuff. So when you KO a hero, it goes into this box. It is out for the duration of the game. So, like most deck builders, you have, if you haven't played one, when you play a card, it gets used and it's going to go in your discard pile, and that discard pile gets shuffled in and reused as your deck, and you're going to be able to draw from those things again. But when you KO, it is out of the game forever. I will then take this card. I successfully defeated him, so I will place this card face down here. I can pick it up and look at it when I want, but it says that I'm going to have 2 victory points at the end of the game. Then I'm going to take all the cards that I had this turn. I'm going to discard them. I recommend using a face-up discard pile and a face-down draw pile so you do not confuse them, and then you will draw 6 new cards, which at the beginning of the game, that's going to be the remaining 6 cards, because you were going to begin with 12. Then, it'll be your turn. Same thing, you're going to flip over a villain card. This happens to be the same guy again. And you have pretty much the exact same setup. But let's say that you want to go ahead and do some recruiting. So you can always have the ability to recruit this shield officer. It is going to cost you 3 recruit power, but it will then, every time it comes back up, give you 2 recruit power. So you're going to spend a little bit now to increase your ability as the game goes forward. So the cost to recruit is going to be this bottom right corner. You've got 4. So you can recruit something that costs 3. So let's say, I'm not even going to really look at these too much for right now, but this one costs 3, so you can buy it. It's going to go face up in your discard pile. Then that spot is immediately refilled. So you spent 3. Those cards are not put in your discard pile yet, but I'm just doing that to show that things have been expended. And then you have 1 money and 2 attack power left, which you can't do anything with. So let's take all those, and we're going to put them in your discard pile with the card that you had just purchased. Comes back to me, oh, and you'll draw 6 to begin your next hand. And comes back to me, another guy comes out. Okay, in this case, it was a bystander. So if it was another villain, you saw what I was doing. I was going to push them down. Subsequent villains keep on pushing until they get to the end here. Once they are pushed off, they escape. If they are carrying a bystander, then everybody has to discard 1 card, no matter how many bystanders they're carrying. If they aren't carrying a bystander, then you will just make sure that you take 1 of the cards in the headquarters space, pick one that costs 6 or less, and you will discard it. So you can go ahead and take one of these, and you will KO that hero. And that does matter for a lot of the schemes, because many schemes will say that if a certain number of heroes are KO'd, then the game ends and you lose. In this particular scheme, that is not the case, but KOing can still be bad. Alright. But, I don't know why I did that. It didn't actually escape. So instead of being pushed down, if a bystander comes out, it is just captured by any villain that's there. If there is no villain there and the bystander comes out, it's just hanging out in the sewers, waiting to be captured. Not a very smart place to be hanging out. Don't know why you want to hang out there anyway. This particular bystander has special abilities. In the base set, all the bystanders are the same, no special abilities, but a lot of the expansions add interesting ones. This one says Undercover Agent. When you rescue this bystander, a player of your choice gets a shield officer. So, kind of an added incentive, besides the fact that it also is a point. So the next person to fight Hammerhead here will still spend 5, it's bribe, so a combination of attack and recruit cost. And then you will still have to KO one card with a recruit symbol on it, but you will get 1, 2, 3 points and a shield officer. So not too shabby. It's my turn. I can choose to fight again, or I can choose to recruit. At this point, now that kind of sweetened the pot, the ability to get that shield officer. So I'm going to go ahead and fight him again. So same type of thing. I'm going to, as a fight, I have to KO one card with a recruit cost on it, which leaves me with 5 combination attack and recruit power, which lets me defeat / bribe Hammerhead here, and also rescue the bystander, which, since it was an undercover agent, I get a shield agent. Take those 5 cards that I used, put them in my discard pile, and now I do not have a draw pile, but I'm supposed to draw 6 at the end of my turn. So I'm going to take these cards, I'm going to shuffle them up. So originally I had 12 cards in hand, now I have 11 cards in my deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. And now, let's see, nope, not yet. But since I didn't get it this turn, the shield agent is going to be in my next hand. So as you can see, as you add cards to your deck, by buying them, they will get from your discard pile to your draw pile, and your deck will get stronger and stronger and stronger. Now it's going to come to your turn. Again, we will turn over the top card of the villain deck. This one says they are the Cape Killers. It says Shield Clearance as a special ability, and for fight it says KO a card from your discard pile. So whenever you fight them, you are going to get to KO a card from your discard pile, effectively making your deck that much better, which is pretty nice. And I want to say possibly all of the henchmen cost 3 attack and are worth 1 victory point at the end of the game. After a quick reference, Shield Clearance means that it's a reference to in the Civil War storyline. In order to fight them, you have to discard 1 card that is a shield hero. That can be one of your start cards that has the shield symbol in the corner. It can be this card right here that's got a shield symbol in the corner. In this particular instance, it could also be Steve Rogers, who is the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. So you just have to discard 1 in order to fight him. It is your turn though, and you currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 recruit power and 1 attack power. So you can't fight him, but you do have 5 recruit power. So we've got a couple cards here that cost 5. You could also split your money and get a card that costs 2 and a card that costs 3. So let's take a quick look at these. Reassigned to civilian duty. Steve Rogers, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. It says if you've played 3 shield cards already before you play him, then you may KO a shield card that you played. If you do, rescue a bystander. So it is a nice way to, early on, thin out your deck from these crummy cards. Or you could possibly, and again, you could buy maybe this card that costs 2 and see if a better card that costs 3 comes out. So you can do these one at a time. But these 2 are Professor X cards. One of them says if you already played an X-Men card, then you get 2 additional attack on top of his 1 attack. So if you get both of these cards in the same hand, that could be nice. This one, otherwise it's just 1 base attack. This one is going to give you 2 recruit power. And it also says you may put a hero from the headquarters on the bottom of the hero deck. And if you've already played a melee hero, which is this kind of Wolverine type claw icon in the corner top left if you can see it, it's kind of small, then you may KO a card from your hand or discard pile in addition. So it's kind of a way to take cards from here that nobody seems to want to buy, put it at the bottom of the hero deck, and kind of cycle things through, which could be good for a lot of people. For right now, why don't we just go ahead and grab this one, because, hey, it's Captain America, it's Steve Rogers, and its ability to thin your deck. That is all you're going to do. Set that aside. Now you will shuffle your hand. And draw 6 new cards. 4, 5, 6. There is one Steve Rogers card. And this particular one, this is one that I grabbed without looking at it before. It says that you get +1 recruit for each hero class that you have. So this one has a strength symbol. This one's got a ranged symbol. This one's got the melee symbol. This one's got a covert symbol. So the more symbols that you have, the more recruit power he's going to have. Then the bottom half of the card says Savior, which means if you have at least 3 bystanders in your victory point deck, then you will get +1 attack for each hero class that you have as well. So at the beginning he's going to be recruit power only. As the game goes on and progresses, once you have 3 or more bystanders in your deck in your victory point pile that you have rescued, then as the Savior, you will get attack power as well as recruit power for every different class of card that you've played this turn. And did I turn? Okay, no, that's right. I was just explaining that. It's coming to the beginning of my turn, so now I'll turn over another card. So that is another one of these. At this point, the main things I want to make sure that you understand, because you are just about, we've just about covered all the different rules, other than the many, 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 many different keywords that you're just going to have to reference as you play through, is how these different combos work. So I alluded to it a little bit, like with this one right here. It says right here that if you've played another X-Men hero before this. So some deck builders that utilize this kind of combo aspect can do things retroactively. Like if you play this card and then later you play an X-Men card, then you can go back and get this bonus. This bonus only applies if you play an X-Men hero before playing this card. So when you have the cards in your hand, you have to kind of choose what order you play them in that's going to give you the best bonus. Especially sometimes some of them are going to let you draw cards. You're going to want to choose, okay, do I want to do this one first so that I get to draw the card that possibly can help me more? Or do I do this one first that's going to give me a bonus? So you kind of got to choose how you want to set up your bonuses. Maybe you're going to have to waive one of them in order to set up for something better. And those will tag team based off of both the team. So we've got X-Men, we've got S.H.I.E.L.D., we've got all kinds of different ones. We've got Avengers, we have Spider Friends, there's Marvel Knights, there's what do they call them? Like an Illuminati type thing. There's so many different ones there. We've also got then the class of cards, and those there's only 5 of. They don't change as of yet between the different expansions. They haven't expanded upon those. There is ranged heroes, which are going to have this kind of blue border around them, you can see. The melee heroes, which have the yellow around them. The covert heroes, which have the red around them. The strength heroes, which are going to be green, like this one here. And the tech heroes, which I believe are gray. We may not have too many of them. There we go. Tech heroes, which have the gray border around them. Most of the cards explain fairly well what they're going to do on them, so you just have to read the cards and decide what's going to work best for you. The only time it gets confusing is when they start to use all these different keywords. You might want to go onto Board Game Geek and try and find a reference sheet that has all of them on it so that you can just have one thing to go to. And I might take a look. I'll see if I can find one, and I will link it in the description section below. so that you can kind of find that and just go. You'll continue playing. You can buy one and only one bystander a turn. These bystanders, when you play them, are going to give you a one-time benefit and then go right back to the bottom of the bystander deck. Or not, sorry, sidekick deck. So they always cost 2, and there's a lot of different ones. Some of them you play it once and it lets you draw 2 cards. That's the basic one, the original one that came in the Captain America expansion. And then there's a whole bunch more that kind of give you just different benefits. But again, you pay 2, you buy it, you can only buy 1. And then when you do play it, it's going to go back to the bottom of the sidekick deck. Let's see, then whenever you fight the mastermind, you will get to grab 1 card. This particular one says when you fight him, each other player KOs 2 bystanders from their victory pile. So sometimes it's going to have good things, sometimes it's going to have bad things. This guy's going to, he's going to take 10 hit points or 10 strength in order to actually put a hit on him. Once you've gone through all 4, once you've hit him 4 times, then you can choose to either end the game there in total points, but the way that people usually are going to play is then everybody gets to play 1 more hand simultaneously just to total up all of their all of their attack power and all the recruit power, and whoever has the most gets to take the last card. Basically, you get the killing blow for one last burst of 5 victory points. Then, if you defeat the mastermind, if you survive the scheme long enough to defeat the mastermind, then you're going to total up whoever has the most victory points, and that person is the MVP, but hooray, we're all winners here. If you lose against the mastermind, or the scheme knocks you down, there's all kinds of different ways that you can lose, but in this particular game, the only way we can lose is at the 6th scheme being revealed from the villain deck. Then you lose. The other thing that can happen is if these decks are depleted completely, then basically the mastermind doesn't win, you don't win, it's a stalemate. The scheme did not succeed, but you did not apprehend or defeat the mastermind. Nobody wins. And if you want, basically in all those instances, I tend to like to just total up the points and see who wins between us. But you really lost if you didn't beat the mastermind. There's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of different smaller rules, and you're just going to have to go with that basic framework, and any card that kind of supersedes anything that I said here is going to take precedence. One last thing, there are some cards, maybe it says on an ambush, or when you fight, or when they escape, everybody's got to take a wound, or a Master Strike might say, like Loki's does, each hero, when a Master Strike card comes out, it will then say, each hero reveals a strength hero. Each player reveals a strength hero or gains a wound. When you gain a wound, it's going to go straight into your discard pile, and it's going to be something that kind of just clutters up your deck. If on your turn you have 1 or more wounds in your hand, you can pass your turn completely, not buy anything, not fight anything, and just, heal your wounds. Take all the wounds that you have, add them back to the wound deck, and discard everything. You're just going to pass on your turn completely. So as you can see, the bare bones rules of the game are quite simple. 6 cards in hand, turn over 1 card from the villain deck. If it's another villain, you push it in. If it's a bystander, it gets captured or stands in the sewers until it is captured. If it's a scheme twist, do what the scheme card says. If it's a Master Strike, do what the Master Strike says. Then spend either your recruit or fight in different combinations or different orders. Play the cards from your hands in order to get these benefits, so that then you can buy cards and defeat enemies, adding them to your discard pile or victory pile, with the end goal being to survive the scheme, which is going to have its own particular rules for your particular game, and you're going to defeat the mastermind. You must hit them 4 times, and then you can choose to do that final showdown. And if you do all of that, you win. If you do not, you lose. And you can do a stalemate if the villain and hero decks are depleted. Or I should say, if one or the other empties, then there's a stalemate, and after you total up the points, whichever player has the most points is an individual victor. So one other thing that you can do as you count up your victory points, there's also penalties based off of bystanders and heroes that have been KO'd or villains that have escaped. So depending on how you want to total things up, if you want to keep track of how well you did as a team, then you really want to keep track of the subtracted points of -4 points for each bystander that was carried away by escaping villains, -3 points for each scheme twist that occurred, and -1 point for each villain that escaped. So that's if you want to keep track of more of how your entire team did. If you want to just focus on, hey, let's just total up all our points and see which one of us got the highest score, that's what you can do as well. It's entirely up to you whether you want to focus more on, hey, just we won, which one of us got the highest score, or do you want to focus on how some people like to do, getting a high score as a team and seeing how we did. Now you know how to set up and play through Marvel Legendary, a deck building game by Devin and published by Upper Deck. If I missed any rules or if you have any questions beyond what I talked about, please let me know in the comments section below. And while you're there, please let me know if you have any movies that you want me to make, any games that you want me to review, unbox, or just that you want to know more about, or maybe you just want to talk to me. Let me know about any of that kind of stuff in the comments section. If you want to know where to buy Marvel Legendary, please keep a lookout for a link to macronovagames.com in the description section. Until next time, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you see, and as always, have a wonderful day.